10 years of Dr. Manmohan Singh as the Prime Minister of India saw several key reforms and initiatives such as Manrega, the India-US nuclear deal, right to information and many more such reforms. But like many others, it was also a tenure that witnessed a lot of controversies, particularly in 2013 when Rahul Gandhi tore up the ordinance into scam charges on his fellow ministers, India's response to the 2008 26/11 attack and also India being included in the Fragile Five. While today is a day to celebrate Dr. Singh's life and legacy, we also touch upon the controversies that surrounded Dr. Manmohan Singh's government and how he tackled them as the country's Prime Minister. Let's start our conversation. Joining me on the telecast is Priya Sehgal. Priya, let's hear it from you. The hits and misses of Manmohan Singh government, UPA 1 and UPA 2, but more particularly UPA 2, where the government is termed as living in policy paralysis, and the highlight of it particularly in how there was an internal rift within the government, how the Prime Minister's authority itself was challenged by none other than the Gandhis.
Well, Meira, actually, you're right to look at his tenure in two parts, UPA 1 and UPA 2. And correctly, UPA 2 didn't do Manmohan Singh proud at all. But also, it was UPA 2 was really his government, because when they went into UPA 1 in 2004, it wasn't with Manmohan Singh's face as a Prime Minister. But in 2009, it was definitely with his face. In fact, at a party manifesto released on the 2009 elections, when Sonia Gandhi was asked who will be your PM face, she picked up the manifesto that had both Rahul Gandhi and Dr. Singh's face, and she covered Rahul's face, saying that he will be the PM face. But having done that, there was a turf war between Dr. Manmohan Singh's cabinet and Sonia Gandhi's National Advisory Committee, because one was a welfare-driven outfit, while Manmohan Singh was a reformist. He wanted the tough measures, economic reforms. Like I remember many times he had to roll back petrol hikes, fertilizer hikes, whatever, because Sonia Gandhi's populist National Advisory Council, genres and all, was really the de facto finance minister at that time. So yes, there were a lot of complications, but a lot of them were not of Dr. Manmohan Singh's doing. It was the authority that Sonia Gandhi wielded, really, because if you look at the corruption charges against his government, by then also a lot of charges had come in the way Anna Hazare was handled. Today, if you look at it, their charges, it's not that they're not charges against Modi's government's ministers. Also, there are charges levied, but no one has ever resigned. Sonia Gandhi ensured the minute there was a whiff of a scandal, Ashok Chavan, Shashi Tharoor, Ashwini Kumar, D. Raja, everybody, everybody had to resign at the mere suspicion of an allegation. That led to the whole belief that this government was corruption ridden. If you look at it today, none of the charges were proven. So, Manmohan Singh did have his legacy kind of tarnished, because he was the Prime Minister, but he was also not really fully in control. He says himself, we've heard that quote so many times today, how history will be kinder to him. And I'm glad that he saw that kind cut happen during his own lifetime. I think he went away, he took that feeling with him, Meira, because before his minute he gave up office and he was, out of power, there were so many Congress leaders who realized they had mucked up by not listening to him, not letting him complete his full term, because that really opened the way for the BJP government. Even the BJP government has been coming and referring to him. We have Nirmala Sitharaman tweeting outside Manmohan's house, taking his advice on economic matters. So I think history is judging him kindly, and he saw that during his own lifetime. He was lucky enough to see his words come true during his lifetime. Meira.
I also have with me Pankaj Vora. Thank you for joining us on the telecast. And Pankaj Vora, as was spoken by Priya Sehgal as well, that there was a lot of internal rift against Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, particularly in his second term. And as she said, the government that was formed and his cabinet that was built was decisively Manmohan Singh's versus UPA 1, where we saw a stamp of the Gandhi, the top leadership, then, taking forward the course of how the governance model is going to function for the country, even though the Prime Minister may have remained Dr. Manmohan Singh. Do you think these obstacles that he faced in wake of the top leadership itself being at loggerheads with him made it more challenging for him to perform his job?
Look, Dr. Singh was a towering personality, an extraordinary human being who never lost sight of his humble beginnings. He was very accommodative, and his endeavor was to carry everyone with him. The thing is that after he was elected for the second term, in 2009, the Congress tally had gone up from 145 in 2004 to 205 in 2009, and increase of 60 seats. So this had made many of people within his own party, who were aspirants for the prime minister's position, very uncomfortable and restless. They thought that if he continues, their chance will never come, and time was running out for them. So this entire second, the scams which came to fore in Manmohan Singh's second tenure, where the creation and handiwork of power politics within his own party, within the Congress, where congressmen were wanting to somehow some of the Congress leaders, top leaders, they were thinking and they were wishing that he resigns and goes away and paves the way so that they can get a chance. The entire 2G scam was a total concoction. The appointment of Vinod Rai as comptroller and auditor general itself, leaves many raises many questions. All the things which the perception was created that this government is corrupt. The 2010 Commonwealth Games and the corruption which was also which came to fore, and there was a tussle between Sheila Dikshit, the Delhi Chief Minister, and Suresh Kalmadi, who was organizing it.
Yeah.
All this harmed the Congress, and unfortunately for those who were wanting to oust him, this boomeranged on the Congress in a very big manner. Manmohan Singh kept his position and was, continued to be the Prime Minister. However, they could never realize their ambitions, and in the process, Pranab Mukherjee had earlier, Priya is here, had in 2010 itself had indicated to her that he will never be the Prime Minister in Rahul Gandhi's cabinet. He was out of the race. Chidambaram was trying his level best, but he could not make it because his acceptability was not very much there. And there were others, and Ahmed Patel, Sonia Gandhi's political advisor, was playing his own games, and Sonia Gandhi was more concerned with keeping the party intact, but the organization was slipping and the Congress was slipping, and the result was that the Congress lost very, very badly in 2014. The 2014 mandate was not as much for the BJP as it is portrayed these days. It was against the Congress. It was a vote against the Congress which propelled the BJP to power, and it was a vote which reduced Congress to its worst performance ever in its 136 years.
You think it was more a vote for change for the BJP and not against Manmohan Singh, but particularly with regards to the situation that came to play, where there was internal party rift, and particularly Gandhis that were practically standing against the Manmohan Singh government?
Not at all. Gandhis were never against Dr. Manmohan Singh. As a matter of fact, Sonia Gandhi and Manmohan Singh shared a very cordial and very close relationship. Rahul Gandhi was also always very respectful to him, though there was this aberration of his tearing the ordinance, which got magnified. This is a total misinformation that the Gandhis had turned against Dr. Manmohan Singh. As long as he was there, the Gandhis, always, were very cordial and were very respectful of his presence. And the way things unfolded, things went beyond the Gandhis, and the perception got created. The Anna Hazare movement, India Against Corruption, the 2G scam, the Commonwealth Games, the impression, rightly or wrongly, that Congress had tilted towards the minorities and was ignoring the majority community. All these contributed to the Congress downfall. As I said, the vote in 2014 was not as much for the BJP as it was against the Congress, and the Congress has not been able to recover from that particular blow till now, and it continues to sit in opposition.
I also have with me Dr. Sunny Dhiman, who is the Congress leader. Dr. Dhiman, thank you for joining us, and particularly with regards to the legacy of Dr. Manmohan Singh and the kind of challenges that he faced, first as the finance minister, but he continued to be shielded by P.V. Narasimha Rao government, but then later on when he took on charge as the Prime Minister for 2 consecutive terms. Do you think the Congress leadership was with him in every step of the way? keeping in mind there were a lot of misses. There were a lot of challenges that he faced, particularly when the government was on the verge of collapsing, when the nuclear deal was signed between America and India, particularly the 2008 26/11 attack that happened, and there was a decision that was taken to continue to hold talks, continue to hold dialogues with Pakistan despite the event, despite that unfortunate terror attack that happened, that hit the country. Dr. Deeman, can you hear me?
First of all, can you hear me? Yeah. First of all, my deep condolence to the family of Dr. Manmohan Singh and the larger family of Dr. Manmohan Singh, the 1.4 billion people of this country who right now are mourning the death of a statesman. And while going deeper into the controversy which you are right now raising, I would love to say that कुछ बात है कि हस्ती मिटती नहीं हमारी, सदियों रहा है दुश्मन दौरे जहां हमारा. Right now, when the nation is mourning the death of a statesman, these controversies, the petty things are being raised, but I would love to defend, not just defend, just to give a political and the policy analysis, that Dr. Singh was a statesman, and whereas Rahul Gandhi has been a warrior. And Congress party belongs to a system where you have a space for dissent, where the dissent is still seen in public. It's not a one-man party, one-man show. And most importantly, the point you have raised that that the ordinance was torn down by none other than was because Gandhi was adamant, not just adamant, that he was visionary leader, that there should not be there should not be any tolerance towards corruption, and that's why he actually accepted the 2013 Supreme Court's Lily Thomas judgment, where the Honorable Supreme Court declared that Section 8/3 was unconstitutional. And because of that, because Dr. Singh was running a coalition government, and it was his duty to maintain the stability of the government, and that's why he did what ought to be done. But at the same time, there was Rahul Gandhi, and he was leader of Congress party. He was not in the coalition. He was not in the government, and he did his best. And unfortunately, you will see that it was Rahul Gandhi's decision that he tore those ordinance, and those ordinance can never become bill or act. And that's why he has
but do you think the criticism that Manmohan Singh faced when he became Prime Minister, because he was called, quote unquote, the accidental Prime Minister, a reluctant Prime Minister, a puppet Prime Minister at the hands of the party leadership, and do you think it was warranted? Because in contrast, when we take a look at 1991, when P.V. Narasimha Rao came to power, and in him the country saw a decisive leadership. The man who brought about reforms, there were no such terms that were attached to him, and there is also a lot of talk and rumor mongering that goes that the man P.V. Narasimha Rao was not in as affable terms with Sonia Gandhi as Manmohan Singh would have been.
If you want to go deeper into history, I can give a lesson on history, but let's focus specifically on the term which is used by Dr. Singh, for Dr. Singh, that accidental Prime Minister. Dr. Singh himself, that he was an accidental finance minister when Narasimha Rao chose him. He was never a politician. He came into politics accidentally, but see the accidents, and I believe that there are no accident in this universe. He held almost all the reputed position of government of India, being a bureaucrat and being a prime minister of this country.
Okay.
So I don't think that this blame of accidental prime minister, it was all controversy.
Okay. I also have with me Mukesh Tyagi, BJP spokesperson. Mukesh, how do you view the legacy that has been left behind by Manmohan Singh, first as the finance minister and then as the prime minister of the country?
Meira, it's a very controversial question you have asked me. My deep condolences to Dr. Manmohan Singh and his family. But at the same time, if we are really going to talk about it, I mean, of course, we can talk hours and hours together and admire his contribution to the country, his academic achievement as a great ace economist. Coming to the point, like, for example, you raised the issue of 123 agreement, US India on a nuclear cooperation for the civil purposes. I was also instrumental somewhere in pushing this agreement when I was looking after the energy sector. And I remember that Mr. Manmohan Singh stood as the tallest leader and staked his coalition government when the left front withdrew the support, and SP came in support and the government survived. So that was something which was extraordinary, which is perhaps contrary to entire functioning, where he stood by his conviction, and finally the agreement was signed. But later on, what happened on insurance is a separate issue. But I think, as Sanjay Barua wrote in his book Accidental Prime Minister, Mr. Manmohan Singh was not essentially or intrinsically a politician. He was a great economist. He studied in all best institutions in the world, from the kerosene oil to, I think, Oxford and Cambridge, and he did his PhD. But Meira, the issue is that he was really pushed into this position as a prime minister. And Narasimha Rao brought him in 1991 when India was left with only 2 days import bill they could afford. So there was a huge crisis. And they went to World Bank and International Monetary Fund for bailing out India's economy. Now, what has happened in that process is, I mean, a lot of people say he's a founder father of the economic reforms in 1991, brought out the structural reforms in the country. But my one of the view is, which is very strong view, that it is the IMF and World Bank conditionalities. Whenever they lend the loan, it comes out with these strings. And I think they were forced to bring about the structural reforms in the economy, and so it will be called as a contributory.
But are you saying this is are you discounting the man who was an academic, who has excelled in his career and being the governor of the RBI, and in fact he has gone and written academic papers with regards to how exports need not be subsidized, how FDI needs to come. So again, is this just
let me just complete
the international organizations and the country's governance model working in conjunction, or should credit be given where it's due?
No, I'm not saying the credit, but they were left with no choice, because a 2 days import foreign exchange was left. India would have gone bankrupt. So it was basically IMF and World Bank, obviously, like implementing the reforms in the right manner, bringing about the policy structures. Everything is in the hands of the executive and legislature. And they did that job very well. But if somebody says exclusive credit should go to Narasimha Rao and Manmohan Singh, I think that's a flawed argument.
Okay.
Number two, Sanjay Barua wrote very categorically that he was an accidental prime minister. He spent a lot of time with him as a press advisor, and he was closely interacting. I mean, he wrote that book, and it opens up how he became the remote controlled prime minister in the hands of Sonia Gandhi ji. And no wonder, you see, one more point, I may be sounding skeptics, and today is a day when we should all praise him, and I've got all the praise. As a matter of fact, don't construe my statement as I'm trying to criticize, but since it is an academic discussion and it is an inspirational value. So when he saw many scams, 9 scams happened under the UPA regime, I think if he is a moral ambassador and a crusader of the values of Indian democracy, I think he should have just resigned, because he was being pushed to clear those cabinet notes as a prime minister, and which is perhaps not a very, he was getting a gratification in terms of as a prime minister.
Okay.
And so he continued to remain prime minister, which was contrary to his moral principles.
Okay.
He was a simple man.
Okay,
so
all right.
I think he was.
Okay, let me also get a view from Priya Sehgal, and particularly the point that is raised time and again when we speak about Manmohan Singh, that he was a puppet prime minister, and the real ropes of the country were held by Sonia Gandhi.
Well, two things. First, I just want to clarify, 9 scams may have happened. 9 allegations were raised. The scams have not been proved. In fact, they have all been disproved. Namely, one scam that has actually been proved, that was raised during UPA's time. If he had brazened it out the way the current government is, where is the Vyapan scam? There are so many scams against, allegations have been raised, but there have been no resignations by the Modi government. If Manmohan Singh had stuck to that line and taken no resignations, the UPA would not have got that reputation it has now, because all those allegations have proved have been misproved by the courts. Second thing, yes, Meira, the relationship between the Gandhis and Dr. Manmohan Singh is very interesting. Unlike Narasimha Rao, today we've seen the Gandhis in full form. They were standing there at his house. Priyanka and Sonia were there at AIMS, along with Mrs. Gurcharan Kaur. They've been there throughout, and his last remains are being taken to the AICC tomorrow. So this is very unlike the treatment that was meted out to Narasimha Rao. There is a reason for this. The Gandhis have never, I agree with Pankaj Vora, the equation was a working one, transactional one, to an extent even a warm one between Sonia Gandhi and Dr. Singh. Rahul Gandhi has today tweeted that he is my mentor because he was no threat to the Gandhis. The minute Sonia Gandhi would have said give up the seat for Rahul, he would have. He's the one who invited Rahul so many times to join his cabinet. So the argument about the rubber stamp may hold, but the fact that there was any tension or any challenge from Dr. Manmohan Singh, that definitely wasn't. And for her turn, when Sonia realized there are some things that Dr. Manmohan Singh would not compromise on, such as the nuclear deal, she let him have his way, even though the government fell with this famous "so be it" comment. They got the Samajwadi Party to come and support, but she knew that some things Dr. Singh is head up on and is fixed on, so she did not push him. She did, she wanted to, she could have removed him then also, because at the end of the day, she was the authority of the Congress Party, and he was not even a Lok Sabha member in that sense. There were many in his cabinet who were against him. I can name so many, from Arjun Singh to Jairam Ramesh to a whole lot. He had to face criticism from the opposition, but also from his own colleagues who today are singing his praises. So, history has been kind to him very much earlier than expected, I would say, in that sense. He proved his worth. He was the most undervalued Prime Minister, a great economist, and I would say a great politician also. He after Nehru and Indira Gandhi, he was the third Congress Prime Minister to complete 10 years. That takes some politics also.
Yes. Absolutely, and perhaps he learnt his lesson under the tutelage of P.V. Narasimha Rao. Let's also get in Pankaj Vora also into conversation. So, do you think a Prime Minister, maybe because that's how he fought all odds and became Prime Minister? So, do you think it's only great oratory skills and having these political machinations to ensure that he secures his seat is something that is then important, integral for a politician to succeed, and was that image dismantled by somebody like Manmohan Singh, who is termed as somebody who is benign, who was a man of few words and soft spoken, and he may be firm, but he was also somebody who did not like confrontation.
He was a very accommodative person, as I had stated earlier, and he was flexible. He never lost sight of his humble beginnings. He liked to carry everyone with him. He was not into any confrontation. He knew that he is there because, he has been put there by the Congress Party, by Sonia Gandhi. In fact, in 2004, when he was made the Prime Minister, the Congress Parliamentary Party had elected Sonia Gandhi as its leader and had authorized her to nominate someone as the Prime Minister, and she had chosen Manmohan Singh. Manmohan Singh was always aware of this, and there was a very good chemistry between the two. There was no quarrel, and he was not a puppet. He was the chosen one, and he was executing what the party wanted him to do. And in between, there was this power play which was within his own party, which brought out these scams, which, as Priya stated, have not been proved in any court of law, and they were, but they were, enough to create the perception that the Congress was a corrupt party and, was not worth, ruling this country. And in the end, the Congress paid the price when it lost in 2014, and that is it. It has not been able to recover after that.
Okay, all right. I will have to conclude my conversation for all of you. Thank you so much for joining me on the telecast. Right now, I have with me Meira Kumar, who was the cabinet minister in the Manmohan Singh government. Thank you, Ms. Meira Kumar, for joining me. And of course, first off, I would like to know from you, your experience with the interactions that you had with the former Prime Minister of the country. If you could share with us some anecdotes.
Thank you for inviting me to this show. I'll begin by paying my respectful homage to Dr. Manmohan Singh ji. I have known him for many, many years, much before he became a minister or the Prime Minister. We were neighbors, and our houses were side by side. I used to go to his house very often. He came to my house, and I learned a lot by this proximity, and what I learned has enriched me. When I met him, I found that he is a very rare and a very tall personality. Tall in what sense? Of course, he was an educationist and he was a great economist, and he had experience of administration. But more than that, I found that here is a person who is free from all kind of prejudices. We all have prejudices in our minds concerning religion, concerning caste, concerning the gender, concerning language, color. So many prejudices we have in our minds. Even the best of people I meet, I eventually discover that they suffer from prejudices. But throughout my long association with Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, I never found even the slightest trace of any kind of prejudice in him. So I always feel that having known him and interacted with him, I have been enriched, and I have the highest regards for him. And I was very fortunate that I served as a cabinet minister when he was the Prime Minister, and I had the benefit of learning from his experience and from his wisdom. And he told me, when I was the Minister for Social Justice and Empowerment, he told me that social justice is the soul of his government, that we should be able to work for the empowerment, for the respect and for the security of those who have been marginalized, like Dalits, backwards, people with disabilities, the senior citizens, the orphan children, and such like. Then only we truly are the government of India. India must set this example to the world. This sensitivity I found in him, which I admired. And when I was a speaker, you see, there is a very, very nice experience that I had with what he said. There is a tradition in Parliament that if there is something important to be discussed, the Prime Minister comes to the chamber of the Speaker. Speaker never goes to the office of the Prime Minister. So he rang me up one day and he said he's coming. So he came, we had the discussion, but I was rather uncomfortable because he's such a big personality, such a tall personality. I should be going to his office. So next time again when he wanted to come, I said, please don't come, I'm coming to your office. He said, no, I will come. Because this is the tradition, and it's a very healthy tradition, and we should abide by it. We should not end it. So I thought that yes, any tradition that we've had from the past, which is healthy and which is good, should be strengthened, and anything that we carry as a burden, which is harmful, we should do away with it.
Yeah. Ms. Meira Kumar, talking about social justice, and you said that Manmohan Singh government was focused and ensured that social justice was the pivot for all the governance models that he had created in terms of policy making, and in conjunction with that, there is social welfare. Welfare for the poor and the downtrodden and the underprivileged, and there have been a number of policies, number of schemes that had been launched. When we talk about Manrega, we talk about right to education, the National Food Security Act. Do you think these were transformational decisions that were made by him first as the finance minister, and of course taking forward the legacy and for the transformation of the country, and especially for the betterment of the poorer sections of the country, to ensure that the country grows as per the vision that he had envisioned for the country.
Well, so far as Dr. Manmohan Singh ji is concerned, we should remember his legacy, and the most revolutionary acts that he made, the right to education. He was an educationist, and he had risen so high in life because of his education. So he was very sensitive, and he said all those children who don't have the opportunity and the means to get educated but have the right to education. It was a great thinking, revolutionary, and the right to information. I mean, what a great and what a courageous step to say that you can ask us anything and we will disclose it. I mean, it requires a lot of courage and strength to enact such a law. And then, of course, Manrega. Manrega is something which is out of the world, because all this while we thought that let the economy flourish at the top, and the benefit of that will percolate to those to the bottom, to those who are very poor and deprived. So this theory of percolation existed for a long time. It was Manmohan Singh ji, the great economist, who said, yes, but the theory of percolation is all right, but we should also take steps to give direct benefits, reach out directly at the bottom and benefit the poor. So this Manrega again is something which will go down in history, and all this is what Manmohan Singh ji's legacy is, and so many other things that he did.
Yes, absolutely.
A very tall personality.
Absolutely. Talking about, you spoke about his legacy, and obviously we cannot talk about Manmohan Singh and then not mention about the liberalization, globalization, privatization revolution that he brought about as the finance minister back in 1991. Do you think this has laid the foundation stone of where India stands today, with being the largest major economy with the highest growth rate?
Yes, the greatness of Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, and his humility, his courtesy, his politeness, his strength of character. These are the things which we really require in our in the people who lead the nation. It's a great country which in which we live. It's a great democracy, and to be able to carry, and we have so many different religions, so many sects, so many languages. We are a very rich country that way, and to be able to carry them all together is really a challenge, and a personality like Manmohan Singh ji did it so very successfully.
You're right. Do you feel that there were some challenges that he also had to face as the Prime Minister, not just from the opposition parties in the country, but also from within the party internally, and how was he able to navigate these murky waters?
Yes, Manmohan Singh ji I must say, he was very detached. He was not really sticking to power. He was very, very detached person. He was indifferent. He really did cling to it. But he was working. He was working for the benefit of the country, within the country and in the world. Yeah,
absolutely. Talking about India's foreign policy, and he was at the forefront of it, talking about neighborhood first, which has also been a policy that has been carried forward, which has at this point of time progressed and become Act East policy. When we talk about building an association with the ASEAN nations, with our subcontinent, and also relationships that he held with George Bush when that US-India nuclear deal was signed, a historic moment in India's history. When we talk about his relationship with Barack Obama, where Barack Obama even mentions the benign nature, the character of Manmohan Singh, and he has praises, he has sung praises. So do you think Manmohan Singh was also a great diplomat for the country, as a representative of the country across the globe?
Yes, you see, he was, as I said, I've learnt a lot also from his foreign policies, his, he, at one point our country was, the economy was at the brink of collapse, and he reversed the situation. He saved us from economic devastation, and he introduced the economic reforms from which we are benefiting today. So, I can say so many things, various aspects. It was a multidimensional personality.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Meira Kumar.
And may I take this opportunity also to say that Srimati Singh, Srimati Gursharan Kaur ji was the strength behind him, and I want to say that in her moment of grief, I am with her.
Thank you so much, Meira Kumar, and we share your sentiment. The entire country shares your sentiment. Thank you very much for joining us. On that note, I slip into a short break. Thanks for watching Newsx.